Howdy folks, monthly update for the month of May. We are heading into international rugby season as the club competitions come to a close, but we've still got URC semis, first round of Super Rugby playoffs to come, plus the top 14 and Premiership and whatnot are wrapping up as well. May saw the conclusion of the Champions Cup, but what's been going on? We'll go through some of the stats and the thanks from the month that was. Also talk a little bit about Winkgate in the Sharks against Munster kicking contest to decide that quarterfinal. Plus, Super Rugby's Team of the Year has caused a few ruffled feathers. Kind of maybe no surprises there, but the way they selected the team was a bit different. And then Richie Mo'unga has kept his name in the New Zealand media spotlight with his victory over in Japan. Quick thanks to all you guys for coming along in the month of May. Thank you for being here, subscribing, liking, commenting, watching the videos, all that kind of stuff. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please do us a favor and subscribe as we tick along through to that kind of next subscriber milestone. It certainly helps out the channel, and thank you for all the insights and whatnot in the comments. It certainly keeps the community kind of thriving, and yeah, I think there's some pretty good bants down there. There were a few comments about the Winkgate one, but we'll get to that in a second. Some stats from the audience and whatnot. The biggest group of viewers in the month of May was number 1, South Africa, followed very closely by number 2, the UK, then New Zealand, Ireland, and Australia. Biggest age group for a change was 25 to 34-year-olds, which is slightly younger than normal. I feel like the age group above that is usually the biggest one. And 49% of people watching on a mobile phone. 20% of people watching on a TV, which is a little bit disconcerting if it's like a 60, 70, 80-inch job. But there we go. Also, I need to say a big special thanks to the patrons who support the channel every month. There is a link down to Patreon in the description if you guys want to sign up. A little bit of extra content there, and yeah, nice community of the Patreon people there too. So if you want to support the channel, feel free to check out the link down in the description. Also, a big thanks to Angus and Jack McHugh for their continued support on Patreon. Now, Winkgate was a controversial one at the weekend. This is the first time I think I have seen a kicking contest, because these things do not come up very often. So it's kind of both a special and a horrific moment at the same time, because nobody really wants to see a match decided in a kicking contest, but it's just such a rare thing that you kind of have to enjoy the moment while it's there. I was a little bit distracted while watching this because I was certainly watching it after the fact. I didn't watch it live because the kickoff time here in New Zealand was not that appropriate. But yeah, my wife was calling me through the window because my kids had been playing out in the driveway and hit our neighbor's car with a rugby ball. So I was kind of like, I had to pause the game to go and knock on my neighbor's door to apologize to them about whacking their car and whatnot. So I watched it a kind of little bit in fits and starts, but I didn't know the result, which was pleasing. Now, apart from the fact that we go to a madness kicking contest to decide a game, Jaden Hendrikse going down with cramp and then winking at Jack Crowley has not gone down well with some folks, and I will admit maybe this is a unpopular opinion, or maybe it's the majority of quiet people opinion. I don't know. I didn't think it was that big a deal at the time as I was watching it. I was a little bit surprised by the social media outrage about Jaden Hendrikse. I think it's the wink. I think it's the wink that has riled people up, because he takes his shot, it goes over the posts, and then Jack Crowley is waiting to take his one, and he has to wait for bloody ages because Jaden goes down with cramp, and he's kind of in the vicinity of Jack taking his kick, so they have to wait for Jack. Well, Jack has to wait for Jaden to exit the scene before he can take his kick. Obviously, the longer you have to wait and stew over the upcoming kick is not ideal. And yeah, Jaden winked at him while he was on the ground and Jack was waiting, which is certainly a bit of gamesmanship. But like I said, I didn't think it was the biggest deal at the time. I think partly because I didn't think his cramp was disingenuous, and based on there's a shot I've subsequently seen of his leg, like the muscle seems to be really bulged up. I do think the cramp was genuine. So, yeah, people either didn't like the gamesmanship or felt it was maybe a little bit of a kind of genius thing. I've been watching sports for a wee while, and you don't really get to see this kind of thing happen in rugby much. I remember watching the Champions League final in football all those years ago when Jerzy Dudek, the goalkeeper for Liverpool, was doing like the wobbly legs things to distract the penalty takers for AC Milan. I didn't think that was that bad either at the time. Jaden Hendrikse's wink, it maybe makes him look like a bit of a gamesman. It's a bit of shithousery, whichever way you want to look at it. Jack Crowley still nailed his kick, so I didn't think it had that big an effect on the game. I do think he could have exited the scene a bit faster. So I believe his cramp was genuine, but I also believe they could have moved him out of the way a bit faster. Jack Crowley certainly let him know his thoughts about it after he hit his kick and nailed it over. So honestly, it didn't have a effect on the game in terms of missing kicks either way. But you guys let me know your thoughts on whether you thought it was egregious or not that bad. But yeah, it certainly caused a bit of a stir amongst rugby fans, that is for sure. Another stir has been caused by Super Rugby's team of the season. I don't know if you know this, if you're following Super Rugby, the Crusaders finished second on the table, and they have no players in the Super Rugby team of the season, which is bizarre. The Chiefs finished first, and they have one. Other teams like the Waratahs and the Force didn't make the playoffs, and yet have 2 or potentially 3 players. The Drua even got a guy in, despite the fact they didn't make the playoffs either. The Highlanders got a guy in. They finished last. So it does seem kind of strange. If you haven't seen the team, Ala'atoa Ikanavere Bell in the front row, so no Kiwis there. Williams and Tupulotu. So a couple of guys who made the playoffs, but most of the guys who didn't. Tom Hooper, Savia, McCright, Tezado, Roygard, McKenzie, Tavatavanoa, Lamb, Naholo, Suali, and Potter. So there's more Aussies there than there are Kiwis, and like I said, there's a few kind of high-profile teams which miss out. I think the problem here lies in the way they chose the team is based on the player of the match points that were given. After each match, the opposition captain and coach would have to allocate points to an opposition player they thought was player of the match. So that was, all those points would be added together and we would get a player of the season. That's how Adi Savia got his player of the season. They used these same points to pick the team of the year. Now the problem with that is if you play on a team like Moana Pacifica, which Adi Savia plays for, he absolutely dominated getting all of those points. And if he gets the points, other people are less likely to get points because he's hogging them all. So what that means is there's not a kind of fair opportunity to gain points if you are going to use that system throughout the rest of the team. So yeah, I feel like they could have done this a better way. Teams like Moana Pacifica and the Chiefs, who had one player dominate the points getting, like D-Mac and Savia, they didn't get other guys in. Like Miracle Whailangi played really well for Moana Pacifica, would have been a shout, but he can't get enough points because Adi Savia is getting them all. The fact that there's 0 Crusaders maybe means that they're a better all-round team than a team full of individuals. So yeah, the scoring system probably could have been a bit more nuanced. I get the voting points thing for the player of the year because that's specific to one dude, but I don't think it really works for a team of the year. So some of the backlash about the team of the year is justified. And then Richie Mo'unga has kept his name in New Zealand headlines by winning a second title in a row over in Japan. He got player of the match in that game as well. So you got to feel that if he comes back to New Zealand at some point, he will certainly be in the running because he is still a classy operator. Even if D-Mac's been having a good season at 10 for the Chiefs, and we are yet to see how the All Blacks choose their 10s between Bodie, D-Mac, and potentially some of the other guys around the works as well. If Mo'unga is available, he is still a classy operator. So we will see. But yes, as I said, thank you guys for being here. What do you reckon about Winkgate? I was just pleased that in my lifetime I got to see a kicking contest, but I kind of hope I don't see him again because they're not really the greatest way to decide a rugby game. I don't know what the other options are. I know in ice hockey they just keep going until someone scores, so you could ultimately just go unlimited overtime, but then I guess there's risk of injuries and whatnot. But yeah, you guys let us know your thoughts, and cheers for being here for the month. Take care. I'll talk to you guys again soon. See you later.